No.
Court is in session.
Good morning, Your Honor. Your Honor, the matter before the court is Commonwealth versus Robert Gulla for disposition.
Does Commonwealth move for sentencing?
The Commonwealth moves for sentencing, Your Honor. With respect to murder in the first degree, it's the understanding of the Commonwealth, and I'm assuming all parties in the courtroom, that the mandatory sentence of life in prison without possibility of parole be imposed. With the guilty finding on the violation of restraining order, the Commonwealth would move at this time that a sentence of 2.5 years in the House of Correction, a maximum sentence for violation of that code, be imposed. As Your Honor may have heard, the family thought long and hard about speaking to you about the imposition of this sentence, and in the end has decided that Allie's voice will come through, that you have heard about the impact of this crime. You have heard Susan Myrick from the stand, and they will leave it at that. If I could, Your Honor, just for a couple minutes, suggest, though, it would be appropriate to remind you at this time what Susan Myrick said just after she lost her daughter, Allie, because of what Robert Gulla did. She publicly said to the world, "Let this be a reminder that it can happen to anyone. Let this be a reminder that if you are in an abusive relationship, you need to get help. You need to find someone to help you leave that relationship, because as many times as an abuser may say that he's going to change, he won't change, or he may not change, and this is the kind of result that can happen." And it is from that perspective, Your Honor, that I say that to those who wonder what is the benefit of sending someone away to prison for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole, let us reflect on not just the specific deterrence that this man won't be able to hurt anyone again, but also the general deterrence that the message is sent to everyone in this Commonwealth that this is not acceptable, that we will do whatever we can to try to help someone who's in an abusive relationship not lose her life because of it. And to that end, it applies, Your Honor, to this issue of what's the appropriate sentence for the violation of the restraining order. And again, there's some people who might say, well, what's the point? He's going away for the rest of his life. But there is a point, Your Honor, here. It's difficult, I would suggest, for the public to understand when somebody kills somebody they love, that love doesn't negate their criminal responsibility, their criminal intent, and it doesn't make it any less heinous. One might argue it makes it even more. And we need to send that message, and I just suggest that one thing Your Honor could do today is to impose a sentence on the violation of restraining order that affirms that this was a situation where many people tried to help Allie Myrick in the sense of saying, no, move away from him. He's hurt you. Move away from him. The Fitchburg State Police helped. Her family helped. Her friends helped. There was a restraining order in place issued by a court in this Commonwealth. None of those things were enough to stop her brutal death. And so to that end, Your Honor, sentencing here is important. It isn't just routine. It is, I would say, weighty, and I hope that the message that Susan Myrick so eloquently gave to the world at the height of her grief will be extended further from the jury's findings, from their verdict, as well as from your sentence. Thank you, Your Honor.
Just one clarification. I agree that the restraining order violation in this case is about as bad as it conceivably gets. Are you looking for a sentence concurrently or consecutively?
Well, I would suggest that just because of making the message clear, Your Honor, that it would make more sense to impose it consecutively. articulate that it's not just something on the side. It's something that we think is of great importance.
Your Honor, ever so briefly as to the issue of the restraining order, I'd simply ask that it be whatever sentence the court deems appropriate be served concurrently with the sentence he's serving. I think it's the sentence that delivers the message the Commonwealth seeks. Whether it's, I'd suggest it be served concurrently. Thank you, Your Honor.
This is one of those times when I'm reminded of the importance of what we do, of what we as a court are able to do. On our good days, we dispense justice. We provide the government the opportunity to prove to a jury, if it can, an accusation is made against a citizen. We provide the accused with a fair trial and the protections guaranteed by the state and federal constitutions and by our common law. It's a process that is laborious, slow, expensive, and undoubtedly frustrating to those affected by it, yet it seems to reach reliable results in the great majority of cases and retain a high degree of legitimacy in the eyes of the communities which it serves. It is, I believe, as someone once said of democracy, the worst system on earth except for all the others. One thing we don't do, I'm afraid, is heal families. In this case, as in many, there are two families that have been devastated by the events of January 23rd, 2010. Members of the Myrick family and of the Gulla Van Der Zee family and of their larger circles of friends and supporters have been in attendance throughout the trial and have shown great dignity and courage throughout. I did want to share one detail, and that's this. During jury impanelment, we spoke sidebar, I with the lawyers present, with each prospective juror. One that we spoke to had recently graduated from high school, and she'd raised her hand to indicate that she had some prior knowledge of the case. It turned out that a member of the Myrick family had come to her school to speak about Allison's death and the issue of domestic violence among the young. The prospective juror recalled the talk clearly, and it just as clearly had made a significant impression on her. Enough so, in fact, that she did not feel that she could be an impartial juror, and so she was excused. I mention this just as a small example of a family that has begun the healing process, in their case by reaching out to others. I wish both families and all of those affected by this tragedy all the best as you continue the journey that you've begun. Mr. Gulla, would you please rise? I hereby impose on you, on count one, murder in the first degree, the mandatory sentence of life in state prison. On count two, for a violation of a restraining order, I impose the maximum sentence of 2.5 years in the House of Correction to run from and after the sentence in count one.
Mr. Gulla, on indictment 2010-208, count 1, after a jury verdict of guilty of murder in the first degree, the court imposes a mandatory life sentence in which you will stand committed with jail credit days to be noted on commit. You have the right to appeal to the appeals court. That appeal must be taken within 30 days. You also have the right to appeal to the appellate division of the Superior Court. That appeal must be taken within 10 days. On indictment 2010-208, count 5, after a jury verdict of guilty to violating the restraining order, the court of the state orders a 2.5-year Billerica House of Correction sentence to take effect from and after indictment 2010-208, count 1. All previous alleged in this case is revoked. And Your Honor, just for the record, I believe Mr. Galvin just wanted to put on that there will be some medical documentation attached to the witness. In particular, Dr. Holstein report from the Freeborn City Hospital and the Middlesex County Sheriff's Department provided support this morning with a packet of medical documentation forwarded as well.
See no reason why we shouldn't do that. Anybody?
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.